Still in 3.5, we're doing example 5. Is that the next one? 5. And it's a lidless box. You're going to get a bunch of box questions all the time. Okay, lots of box questions just because it comes out nice mathematically. So we have a box. It's a lidless box, which means no lid. Lidless means no top. No top, right? No top of the box. It's constructed from a square piece of tin. So it's a square piece of tin by cutting 5 centimeter square from each corner and then bending up the sides for the box. So I'm going to picture here what I'm saying. It doesn't ask you for a diagram. I like to picture a diagram anyway. So I'm going to do a diagram here on the side anyway. So I have a square piece of tin. Square. Okay. I am going to cut 5 centimeter squares from each corner. So I'm cutting from each corner, little squares. These are squares too. Okay, those are squares. From each corner, and then bending up the sides for the box. So what that is that if I have a square piece of paper and I'm cutting, and what I'm asking you to do is cut squares out from each corner. That's not a good square. I'm going to make that a little bit wider there. Okay? So I want the same square, this square, to be cut out from all the corners here. So let me do that here on the side. Okay, so I'm cutting out same squares. It's not very good. From each corner, like this. Right, so that's what we got. Can you kind of see that? Should I do a different color behind it? Hard to see, it's bright. There. Okay, so like that. Okay, and then they're saying fold up. So these are supposed to be the same size squares. I did it rough. You're folding this up. So all the sides, like that. And so what you get is this. So I folded the sides up. I'm folding this up. Like that. So you're getting a little corner. Is that all right? Does that kind of show? So you're doing that, and it becomes a little corner. So then you have a box that looks like this with no lid, no top. Does that make sense? So you got the corners, we folded them up, and they should connect, and you've got this with no lid. So it's a lidless box. So it's a square piece. Does it have to be done with just a square? I can do this with a rectangle, right? They just happen to choose a square, so it could be a rectangle, and you fold up the corners, and you make yourself a lidless box, so no lid box. Make sense? Okay, so that's what we've got here. Okay, so that's what we're picturing. So then we fold this up, and it'll look like this. So we fold it up, looks like that. These bits that I cut out are those corners that folded up. Make sense? Those are the corners that folded up, the bits that I cut out. So those are there. Now, it's lidless, so I'm going to say that this is open. So I'm going to shade that out like that. So no lid, right? Open. Okay. Okay, that's the design. These are 5 centimeters. So the 5 centimeters are these. So right here, 5. These little corners here. So that means when I folded it up, it was 5 centimeters. Okay? So 5 centimeters, which means when I folded it up, that's the 5 centimeters. Good? Okay. Da-da-da. If the volume of the box is 800 centimeters cubed, volume, find the dimensions. When I say dimensions, that means find the length, width, height, right? Length, width, height. Dimensions of the box to the nearest centimeter, a tenth of a centimeter. So this automatically tells me to round. So we are going to round to decimal. Tenth is how many decimal places? 1 decimal. You have to know what tenth means, right? So decimal, tenth, hundredth would be 2. Right, so tenth, you got to know that. Okay, so we know all this. This is my brain thinking this. This is my brain thinking dimensions. I want that. Now, what do we have? We still have to do a let statement. I like to always get a diagram. So I usually do a diagram. You don't have to do both. I would do this one probably, the 3D one. 5 goes up. The unknown is this. We don't know how long that side is. Because it's a square, I know that this is the same thing as this, though, because it's a square, right? Because I took a square, right? This square, it's still going to be a square, so that's going to be xx, so that's 5. I need a let statement. You have to do a let statement. Usually I always ask students to supply a diagram whenever possible and to do a let statement too. So you're going to say let x represent the length of the base of this, square base, length of the square base, because it's the same. Length of the square base. Right? So I'm saying it's square, so that's why they're the same. Or you can say side length of the square base. Right? Some people go side length. You can say length or side length of the square base. Right? So make sure the sentence is clear and it makes sense. Does that make sense? So square base. So clarifying that it's a square base, so length of the side. You see, say side length of the square base. Okay. Now, what do I know? I know it's 800 centimeters cubed, so I have to use this. So I know that the volume is 800 centimeters cubed. So you can write that. You can say, I know that the volume is length times width times height. We assume that you do know kind of the basic shapes. Okay, so we know length times width times height. I'm given the 800. So the 800, I am given that. Right, so I'm going to put 800 here. Right, it is not a max-min question. If it's a max-min question, I would have to leave that as a variable. And then you do the vertex x. So not a max-min question. I'm telling you it's 800. And then now I'm going to fill in, do I have the length? It's length, width, height. The length and the width are the same. So it's xx, so x squared. Does that make sense? So xx. And the height is 5. So x times 5. I can rewrite that and go 800 equals 5x squared. And now I have a quadratic. Okay? Looks like a weird quadratic though, right? Everyone's like, this one doesn't look weird. I feel like I'm missing a middle term. Still bring it to one side. So 0 equals 5x squared minus 800. Okay, and you can solve it. You can solve it by factoring or by quadratic formula. So if I try to factor that, I would do 0 equals 5x squared minus, and then you get 800 divided by 5 is 160. Is that a perfect square? No, I can't factor that, right? So I can't factor it, so I would do quadratic formula, or you can square root this. So you are allowed to square root that. So there's two ways to solve this. I'm going to show you both ways. Not everyone sees that they can continue solving this. So this one does not have a solution, but this one. So I'm going to do two solutions. This is why I left so much room here. So I want to do it twice. Okay, so I'll do 2 times 2 ways of doing it. One way is to take it and say, no answer for this one, but here I'm going to go x squared minus 160 equals 0. I go x squared equals 160. And then you square root both sides with the positive negative. Right? Don't forget the positive negative. So x equals positive or negative root 160. And then you can go to decimal. And you're good to go. So that'll be approximately, I asked for decimal, so we are going to one decimal place. 160. I'm getting positive or negative 12.6. Right? Right, correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I punched in. Okay, so we got 12.6, and then you're going to answer your question. Okay, so we're going to finish the answer. So how do I know if it's positive or negative? Can dimensions of a shape be negative? No. So therefore, positive 12.6, not negative side length, or you can say length. Okay. Some people cross off the negative. Just be careful that I can read it. cross it off and say not negative length, but you kind of want to say something about why you crossed it off. Not possible, not negative, something like that. Okay, so then I changed it. I want to see that it's positive, negative, and then you give me the answer. You didn't have to write the word positive or write the symbol positive, but it's this. Okay, so see both and then conclusion. And then we're going to do our conclusion. So that's one way. If you didn't see that, you go, I don't know if I would have brought that out. Then you would use, that's why I left so much space. It's actually a very short question, but or, so my option here is or, okay, or, and then you would do quadratic formula. So let's do quadratic formula. It works just as well. It's just whichever one you kind of see first, because sometimes you go, oh, shoot, I didn't see that. Okay, so let's try quadratic formula. So we're going to do x equals negative b plus or minus, like that. And then you're going to plug it in, and we're going to say, okay. So from this step, I might have been like, uh-oh, I don't know how to factor that, or I don't know how to solve that, and I would go from this step, and I would do this. So this would be A is 5, B is 0. Does that make sense? There's no x value, right? And then C is negative 800. Does that make sense? So A is 5. There is no B, so it's 0. And then C is 800. Okay, if there's no middle term, it's a 0. C would be negative 800. So then when you plug it into here, so again, either way is good. Negative 0 is just 0. Okay, positive or negative. 0 squared, that's okay. Minus 4 times 5 times negative 800. All over 2 times 5. I want you to finish that whole bracket here. Don't show me any steps. So 0 plus or minus, and that gets me 16, 1, 2, 3, over 10. I said you can go to decimal, so you don't have to simplify that. Just go to decimal. If I tell you decimal, don't waste any time simplifying it. You can go straight to decimal, so you're going to plug this onto your calculator. And remember, you get 2 answers. You get root 16,000 over 10, and you get negative, right? So x equals or negative 16,123 over 10. And guess what happens? You get the same number. So if I punch this into my calculator, I go square root 16,000 divided by 10, and I get 12.645. It's the same number. So you get the 2 same numbers. So this will be approximately 12.6, and then or negative 12.6. So you'll get the same answer. It's an or scenario, right? It's up to you how you solve it. And my concluding sentence is, so concluding sentence would be, what am I looking for? Make sure you answer the question. So I'm going to star that. Answer the question. Okay, if you don't answer the question, you're wasting the mark. So it says, find the dimensions. So what are the dimensions? Do I have, look back to your diagram, I have x, that's this side, and we already have 5. So when you give the dimensions, therefore, the dimensions are, what's the dimensions of the box? Yep.
5 and 12.6.
Good. 5, is it centimeters? Yeah, centimeters. Thank you. You did not forget the 5. People forget the 5. You give me 12.6 by 12.6. That's a square, not a box. You have to give this one, so please don't forget this first one. People forget the 5 for some reason. By 12.6 centimeters by 12.6 centimeters. So don't forget, it's all three. 1, 2, 3. It's 3 dimensions for the box, length, width, height. Okay, people just forget you do this and you're like, ah, wasted, right? So those are those wasted marks. Okay. In the homework, when you start to do the homework, one of the questions says, what's the break even for profit? The word break even, I don't know how we're supposed to have known this, but break even is when you make no profit. So if you say, how much profit did you make at the car wash? When you did the school car wash, you go, we broke even, which means you made a profit of 0. So whatever you spent on the soap, you spent on, right, that's all you got back, sort of thing. So break even means you didn't make a profit, you just got 0. There's a question in the homework, so when you get there, you'll be like, what's break even? It means 0 profit. Okay, other than that, I think we're done for that. We'll stop. Questions? Anything to clarify? Is your hand up or leaning? Yes. Yes, question.
Like when you were doing, like the first version.
Yes. This, yeah.
Why you just like left the 5?
Because when you divide both sides by 5, when I'm factoring, what answer do I get here? So remember when we're doing restrictions? Yeah, you divide by 5. There's no answer for this, so it can be gone. So it's gone. No answer. So I can divide by 5 or ignore it because there's no answer for my x when you solve it. Yeah. So I ignored the 5. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so this one you either ignore or you divide by it. So you can go divide by 5, but it won't get you an answer. Yes. Okay, anything else to clarify? Okay. All right. Okay, stop that.